Good evening to you both, and let's begin with the Alberta government releasing what it calls clear guidance on the kinds of books it expects to see in school libraries.
We have ratings on movies, given the nature of violence and sexual content that's displayed in movies. This already exists in so many different aspects of our society. I'm really surprised, to be honest, that I need to draft a ministerial order to say that you can't have books on your shelves with graphic sexual content.
The education minister says there is no list of problematic books, but teachers and librarians will now have to go through all their resources, removing any materials containing a detailed and clear depiction of a sexual act.
No kid needs to see that, especially, I think in my future, as a future mom, I definitely don't want my kids to ever see that stuff.
The government order states non-explicit sexual content may be accessible only to students in grade 10 and above, provided it is age appropriate. Critics, though, fear this opens a door to creating a book ban.
We find it's very dangerous for government overreach when these decisions are local, right? Like they're meant to be made, the choosing of the books and the selection by experts.
All school boards must remove material meeting the criteria from libraries by October 1st. Marty, I want to start with you. You're an author of books for youth. Where do these new rules and restrictions land for you?
To be honest with you, they're not going to have a huge impact of what I do. I know that maybe the proponents of this sort of fear of what goes into school libraries may be creating this impression that school staff, librarians, gatekeepers, publishers, and kids authors are some kind of sex fiends trying to work in material into the schools to warp the minds of kids. But the truth is, there's a pretty rigorous process that authors have to go through to begin with to get published, right? We have to come up with an idea that we think is going to land or be appropriate with the age of the audience we're trying to reach. Then that gets pitched to a publishing acquisitions team who decides, what works, what doesn't, what's appropriate, what's not. And even if your book is accepted, you have to go through an editing process, which sometimes involves sensitivity readers who tries to make sure that the material is appropriate. So already there are systems in place to make sure that there are books that are appropriate to the age level that we're writing for. And the stopgap used to be at schools, the school librarian. And at one time when the government had a budget, you had teacher librarians who were actually trained as teachers, so they understood the different stages of development for kids. And so they would know what books were appropriate or not. But over the years, we've cut away that position. It's now become library techs who don't have the same level of training. And now we've even cut away those positions so that it's down to whoever's around in the library at the time or a parent volunteer. So if the minister is truly serious about trying to protect kids, then I would say along with that ministerial order, he probably should have some budget, some money to pay for that staff member to do it. Maybe the new provincial police force, maybe that would be added to their task list of things to do.
Darren, school's out, summer's in. Where do you see this hitting the radar with Albertans, with parents?
I don't see it hitting the radar at all, to be honest with you. If for no other reason, then the UCP continues to set policy for the fringes. Most Albertans aren't even thinking about this kind of thing right now while they have their eye on tariffs, international turmoil, or yes, summer vacation. But that's likely why the province decided to do it at this time. While there's support for limiting sexually explicit content in books, I don't think the province actually asked the question, should we ban these books or should we pull them from the shelves? So to that end, by design, the timing of this is actually probably intended to fly under the radar with most Albertans.
Marty, you brought up the issue of resources and what it takes to staff a library. So given these changes, what kind of pressure do you expect this to now put on schools, teachers, school divisions, school boards, with deadlines coming?
It's going to be a huge pressure, right? I know originally the minister had asked for a September 1st deadline, not anticipating that maybe staff were not around during the summer to do this. And now he's pushed it back to October 1st. Which is probably one of the busier times for teachers as they're trying to help the students settle into the beginning of the school year. So on top of all that, they're going to have to figure out finding time to cull the books and go through everything in the collection to decide what's appropriate and what's not. So it does put a lot of pressure. And the cynical side of me goes, well, didn't the ATA vote to have the potential for strike action? And could this issue potentially be a cudgel that the government uses to try to win over parents when the teachers may or may not go on strike?
Yeah, that is an important element to mention, the fact that there is labor action possible in the months ahead. Okay, next up, plummeting fuel prices in Calgary.
I've never seen gas this cheap since I had my license.
I would say in the last month, we've seen gas price wars, which we never really experienced too much before.
Lineups at the pumps were lengthy at a number of stations early in the week when prices fell as low as $1.03 a litre, a bit of a head scratcher from a business standpoint.
The break-even's probably about $1.20 a liter today. So, the margin for a lot of stations might only be 9 or 10 cents a liter. And those stations that are selling close to $1 are probably taking it on the chin.
Industry analysts suggest fluctuating prices and volatility reflect Middle East tensions and the price of oil surging and then plummeting. But no matter what the reason, motorists appreciate the reprieve.
I'm just happy as a consumer that it's gone down a bit for us. It's a bit of a break considering all the cost of living has gone up in Calgary. So appreciate what's going on.
It costs me a lot of money driving gas, especially when it's up to $2 a litre some days. But yeah, I saw the price at $1.03 and figured this is a lot better than the $1.35 I was seeing downtown.
The savings were short-lived, disappeared by late Tuesday. Darren, prices haven't been this low in Calgary since 2020. That was during the pandemic. So if it's possible now, what kind of expectation does that create for motorists?
Well, I have this little spot on McLeod Trail that shall go unnamed that usually provides me great fuel prices most of the time, usually 8 to 10 cents a liter lower than other stations on the same strip. With that said, the other day I went, didn't need fuel. It was $1.13. Came 2 days later, it was $1.26. And I think that retailers are probably playing the market a little bit, hoping to cash in where people need more fuel. And that's the thing, is that where it does create the expectation, when we see those prices go down, we're thinking, hey, could they go down even further? And we're just waiting for it to hit that $1 mark. And, maybe it will. But I think generally speaking, if it's between $1.15 and $1.25, given where prices have been over the past number of years, I think that's pretty reasonable. And for families like ours who are about to go on vacation, it might make this summer vacation a little bit more affordable. So that's the expectation I think many people have.
Yeah, that'd be a great boost. Now, Marty, were you seeing savings in the range of 25 cents a litre in Edmonton this week?
I don't know if it was 25 cents a liter, but there is a local gas station a few blocks from my house. And for the last year, every so often, there will be a huge lineup of commuters trying to get the cheap gas. And I have to say, I'm old enough that I'm like, $1 is really expensive for gas, because I remember when it was like 35 cents a liter. So I think perspective means a lot here. However, I also know that, when you have a situation with maybe like a long weekend coming up, invariably those gas prices seem to go up right on the Friday when you need the gas the most.
Red Deer Minor Hockey is reviewing the actions of one of its coaches, former NHL player Nick Tarnowski, prompted by the appearance online of a brawl at a golf course.
Hey, you want to go, guys? Malone, hey.
CTV News has obtained the full 6-minute video, and the fight is said to have broken out 1 week ago over one group taking too long to play. Nick Tarnowski played more than 240 games in the NHL with Tampa Bay, Nashville, and Florida. RCMP say a third party called in a report about an intoxicated man trying to start fights, but the complainant left before officers arrived. While Red Deer Minor Hockey confirms it has launched an internal probe, Mounties say they are not investigating the incident. Darren, typical day on the golf course. What do you make of the confrontation and the national attention this video has garnered?
Well, I don't think that there's too much here. I mean, the Red Deer Minor Hockey is in a little bit of a difficult situation. I think all of us have been out on the golf course at one time or another, where you've been behind a slow group. You know, that group that wants to line up every putt, you know, for 2 or 3 minutes, take 5 practice swings, and then they duff it 4 or 5 yards. You know, but I think that the fact that it gets to this level is a little bit outrageous. And, you know, I think that the Red Deer Minor Hockey Association is in a little bit of a difficult situation, because I don't know that there's a lot that they can do, you know, given that there's no RCMP investigation. And I don't think that Nick Tarnasky was probably out there on Red Deer Minor Hockey business. So their hands might be a little bit tied in this whole situation.
Okay, so Marty, let's pick up on that. As we've been saying, RCMP say no one is coming forward to allege an assault, so the investigation has been concluded. What does that speak to you then, where pressure goes on Red Deer Minor Hockey?
Well, it's all about the optics of that video, and I think it rests mostly on the parents of the players deciding whether or not they want to express their outrage over this. If the idea that in minor hockey you're looking for a positive, non-combative kind of environment, because I don't think fighting is allowed in minor hockey. And if you've got a coach who's freely able to swing punches on a golf course and trying to discipline his players to sort of be gentlemen on the ice or gentle people on the ice, and the players are going to say, well, my dad showed me a video of you golfing or swinging, but not a golf club, it's going to be harder for them to sort of maintain that appearance of a positive, gentlemanly kind of sport. So ultimately, I think I agree with Darren in the sense that it's the minor hockey league, the Red Deer Minor Hockey League, that's got a bit of a tough road in terms of the optics of what they're going to do about all this, especially if the RCMP aren't going to press charges and you've got the video. You have to try to figure out, you know, who instigated. I'm not sorry. I just flashed back to my teacher going, it doesn't matter who started the fight. You just got to stand up and be a little more adult about this. So in this case, it's one of those things where I think the association has to weigh the cachet of a former NHL hockey player coaching their kids versus the optics of a coach basically brawling on a golf course.
All right, well, from fisticuffs on the front nine to the calming experience of something called forest bathing. It's not what you might be thinking.
That is a common reaction. There will be no actual bathing in water.
Yeah, indeed not. Mere minutes from downtown in Edmonton's Mill Creek Ravine, guides are assisting groups through the Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, a type of forest therapy. Participants are encouraged to focus on exploration, meditation, or reflection.
I'm not artistically inclined, but I decided to draw what I was seeing, and I was actually impressed with what I was able to do.
I think a lot of people who come to this practice are just hoping for a bit of relaxation and are often kind of surprised by the feelings that it can bring up.
Immersing oneself in the forest, in the woods, opening the senses and finding a real nature connection to decompress from urban life.
The City Run program is funded by the federal government's 2 Billion Trees initiative. Marty, what came to mind for you on the mention of forest bathing? And what are you making of using nature to improve mental and physical health?
I'm sorry, I just had a weird disconnect. So one of the forest guides is actually an actor who was in a play of mine about serial killers. He actually played a serial killer. So the first thing that went through my mind is, don't go in the forest with that guy. But when we're thinking about forest bathing, I mean, I appreciate that this might be the 21st century version of stop and smell the roses. What I find, I'm not knocking anybody who wants to go and relax and enjoy nature, take in the sights and sounds and walk through the river valley, enjoy the forest. But the very idea that you have to have a rubric about how to relax in the forest says a lot about how possibly tense we are and how ill-equipped we are of trying to figure out ways to relax. Because I know I go for a walk in the river valley whenever I can, but I don't think I need somebody to tell me to figure out how to enjoy the sights and sounds around me. And it just seems odd that we've got a government program for people to go, okay, sit in the meadow and breathe.
All right, Darren, all we have time for is thumbs up or thumbs down. There we go. All right, gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there. We're out of time. Good to see you both. Hope you have an awesome weekend.
You too, Michael. Thank you.